Hello class and students. So today will be the final lesson of this unit number 1, and we will talk about multiplying and dividing integers. So in the previous lesson we talked about addition and subtraction, and in most cases addition and subtraction for some reason is a little bit more confusing than multiplication and division. So hopefully you're gonna find that this lesson is pretty easy. Practice assignment that we are going to complete after those notes will be 2.4 and 2.6 worksheets. And I want you to write down the basic rules for multiplication and division. So when we multiply or divide, and we multiply or divide two positive numbers, the answer will be positive. If we multiply or divide two negatives, then the answer is positive again. If we multiply or divide positive and negative, we get negative answer, and again negative, positive, negative answer as well. So in other words, if you have the same sign in front of the two numbers, you get positive answer. If you have a different sign in front of the numbers, you always get negative answer. Let's see what is this thing about. So multiplying integers. First, what is 7 times 0? Well, when we multiply by 0, any number times 0 is always equal to 0. When we multiply negative 1 times 6, we multiply two numbers, one negative, one positive. We said the answer will always be negative. So 1 times 6 is 6, negative 6 will be the answer. Multiplying two numbers with the same sign in front, 2 times 8 is 16. When we multiply those two, we get positive answer. 1 positive, 1 negative, 4 times 10 is 40, and we have negative answer. Now, when we multiply three numbers in the row with the multiplication between PEMDAS rule, we're going to start from left to right. So negative 3 times 6 is negative 18 times negative 12. So 18 times 12, I'm going to use the calculator, 18 times 12 is 216. Multiplying two negative numbers will give us positive answer. Next one, we have negative 2 times negative 7, which is just positive 14, times negative 13. So we're going to have 13 times negative 14, which is negative 182, final answer. This is when we have numbers. When we have variables, just like before, we have to substitute those variables with numbers and then do the calculations. So for the first one, a times c minus b. A is 3 times c is negative 8 minus b is negative 4. So 3 times negative 8 will be negative 24 minus will give us plus sign here, 4. Negative 24 plus 4 will be negative 20, final answer. A times b minus c. So a is 3 times negative 4 minus c is negative 8. Again, 3 times negative 4 is negative 12. Those two negatives change to plus 8. Negative 12 plus 8 will give us negative 4, final answer. A squared plus b times c. A squared is 3 to the second plus b is negative 4 plus c is negative 8. So the exponent is 9 plus negative 4 times negative 8 will be positive 32. Final answer 41. Awesome job so far. If you need to pause the video, please do so. Otherwise, I will move to the next example. So in the next example, because we're still talking about multiplication, if you notice, I would like to focus on one word problem with multiplication. So Tanisha has a balance of $250 in her checking account. She writes 3 checks, each of it for $120 from the account. She also deposits 2 paychecks for $240 each. What is her balance now? Well, first let's underline what is given. So she has balance, let's write this, balance of 250. So this is her starting money, 250. Then she wrote 3 checks of 120. So 3 checks times 120, that I will put checks. She had to write down in order to pay something. And then she deposit another 2 paychecks. So 2 paychecks of 240, and that is deposit. When you deposit money, that means you're adding money to your account. You're not taking away, the money are going into your account. So let's write this whole thing as one expression and then we'll solve it. So we're going to start with 250, the balance, plus, now we have 3 times negative 120. Why is negative 120? Because you had to write those checks to take the money away. So you're taking those money from your account and we need to subtract them from the account. And then plus 2 checks of $240. So those are positives because you're adding those to your account. And that will give us 250 plus 3 times negative 120 is negative 360, plus 2 times 240 will be $480. So let's go ahead. I'm going to use the calculator in order to get how much money we have left, or Tanisha has left in her account. So 250 plus negative of 360 is equal to negative 110 plus $480. So total plus 480 will be $370. So total, Tanisha will have $370 in her account. With that, we will move on to the dividing process of the integers deal. So the division is, it could be represented as a fractions, and you can see I have a lot of fractions here, but also those fractions, this fraction line means division. So basically you just have to divide those numbers, or you can simplify the fraction, in the other words. So 36 divided by negative 9 will give us negative 4. Negative 40 divided by 8 will give us negative 5. 0 divided by negative 7 will give us 0. So now, look at this. We have one 0 on the top here, another 0 on the bottom here. What's the difference between those two? Well, the difference is, if you have 0 on the top, the answer is always 0. But if you have 0 on the bottom, this is not possible. So the answer for this example is no solution. No solution. You can't have 0 on the bottom of the fraction. Just not possible. We can't solve it. So please remember that. 0 on the bottom, no solution. 0 on the top always equals 0. In the final fraction, negative 14 divided by 2 is negative 7. And we're done with simplifying division part of positives and negatives. I do have a few examples here with variables. So we're going to substitute the variables with numbers and we'll calculate what is equal to. So x over z, we have x is 18 over z is negative 6. From here, I just substitute the numbers. So 18 divided by negative 6 will be negative 3, final answer. Right here we have x is 18 and on the bottom we have y plus z. So negative 12 plus negative 6. Now when you have expressions like this, you first want to solve the addition or subtraction on the bottom or the top. Then the final thing, you have to end up with fraction like this in order to simplify. So let's solve that first. 18 stays. Negative 12 plus negative 6 is negative 18. 18 divided by negative 18 is equal to negative 1. Final answer. With that example, we have x 18 square plus negative 12 over negative 6. Now, we will calculate this, but before we add the numbers, we need to simplify the expression. So 18 square is equal to 324 plus negative 12 over negative 6. So we'll just continue this whole thing over here. 324 minus 12 plus negative 12 is 312 over negative 6. And when we divide those two numbers, divided by negative 6, we will get the answer is negative 52, final one. One more example to go, x times z over y. So x is again 18 times z is negative 6 over y is negative 12. So let's calculate the top part first. 18 times negative 6, which is negative 108 over negative 12, divided by negative 12, and this will give us positive 9. Final answer. Alright, so I'm gonna ask you to finish those examples. Rewatch the video if you need to. I went a little bit faster, but you know, it's just I want to make the video short and you can watch it as many times you need to. Final example, part of this lesson is to calculate the mean or the average of a data. Sometimes, you know, we have given data, a bunch of numbers, and they're asking us, all right, so what will be the average of that? What is the mean of these numbers? And one of the good examples for that is, let's say we have some test scores and we want to know how the whole class did overall. So what is the average score that you earn? So in order to calculate the average or the mean, we're going to add all those numbers together and then we'll divide by the total numbers that are given here. So let's first calculate how many numbers we have. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 numbers total. So the mean will be equal to, we add all those. So 0 plus negative 4 plus negative 10 plus 4 plus 11 plus negative 9 and plus negative 13 divided by 7 numbers total. So if we use the calculator and we can add all those numbers. So we have 0 plus negative 4, then plus negative 10 plus 4 plus 11 plus negative 9 plus negative 13. That will be equal to negative 21 on the top divided by 7. And negative 21 divided by 7 is negative 3. So the average score here will be negative 3. And I will just separate this example from the other one. And the other one, mean, will be equal to, and we will do the same thing. So we're going to add all those numbers and we'll write a little bit tiny numbers. We'll zoom it, but the numbers will be a little bit tinier. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 numbers total here. So let's add those. Negative 12 plus 5 plus negative 9 plus 10 plus 16 plus negative 8. I may not have space. Plus negative 2 plus 8. And this whole thing over 8. So the mean will be equal to, and again, we're using the calculator just to add all the numbers. So I want to show you. So I'm going to start with negative 12 plus 5 plus negative 9 plus 10 plus 16 plus negative 8 plus negative 2 and plus 8 equals, so this equals total 8. I'm gonna put 8 on the top over 8 on the bottom, and 8 divided by 8 is just 1. Final answer. Alright, so finish the problem, the last one, and then you can go ahead and begin some practice with the worksheets that are provided. Let me know if you have questions, and thank you for watching the video.